Some stories begin with power. Some stories begin with noise. This one begins with something very small. Welcome. Sit comfortably. Take a deep breath. Let the noise of your day grow quiet. Today, we are going to follow one boy through many years. From the streets of a small Argentine city to the brightest stadium lights in the world. This is a story about a boy who was often the smallest person on the pitch. People looked at him and saw a problem. His body was small. His voice was quiet. His future was uncertain. But the ball at his feet told a different story. You are listening to Learning English with History. Today, we are stepping inside the life of one of the most famous footballers alive. Not only the champion you see lifting trophies, not only the face on billboards and magazine covers. Today, we are meeting the boy inside him. The quiet boy, the small boy, the boy who needed medical help to grow, the boy who left his country at 13, the boy who waited many years for the world to see what he carried in silence. Small does not mean weak. This is the story of Lionel Messi. Story 1. The Small Boy in Rosario. On June 24, 1987, in Rosario, Argentina, Lionel Andrés Messi was born into a working family. Rosario is not Buenos Aires. It is not the capital. It is not always the center of attention. It is a hard-working city beside a wide river, where family and football are deeply important. Lionel was the third of 4 children. His father, Jorge, worked in a steel factory. His mother, Celia, worked to help support the family. They were not rich, but they were close. They shared meals. They shared stories. And like many families in Argentina, they shared a love of football. Now, imagine a group of children playing football on a street corner in Rosario. The older boys are bigger. They push, they shout, they sprint ahead. And in the middle of all that noise, there is one boy who does not shout. He does not push. He is smaller than everyone around him. But when the ball arrives at his feet, something changes. The bigger boys reach for it and miss. He moves left, then right, then left again. Suddenly, he is past them. They turn around, confused. He is already gone. That boy is Lionel. He showed talent early, very early. His grandmother, Celia, was one of the first people who believed in him. She took him to football practice at a local club called Newell's Old Boys. She sat beside the pitch and watched him play. She saw what others would take years to understand. This small boy was different. At Newell's, Lionel played with children his own age, but he was still often the smallest on the team. Coaches watched him and wondered how a body so small could carry a talent so large. He came from a small beginning. He started small, but he loved the game more than he feared being small. Sadly, his grandmother Celia passed away when Lionel was still young, before the world ever knew his name. He never forgot her. Years later, when he scored, he often looked up and pointed to the sky. That gesture was for her, always for her. The small boy had love around him. He had a family that believed in him. He had a ball that seemed to obey him. But soon, his body would become his biggest obstacle. Story 2. The Body That Needed Help. When Lionel was still a child, doctors diagnosed him with growth hormone deficiency. This means his body was not growing the way it needed to grow. Other boys were becoming taller. Their bodies were changing. Lionel was still small. For a young footballer, this created fear. Not because small players cannot be great, but because his body needed help. For a long time, Lionel needed regular treatment to help his body grow. This was not easy for him, and it was not easy for his family. The treatment was expensive. His father's income could not cover everything forever. The family had to think about choices no family wants to face. Picture a quiet family room in Rosario. Medical papers are spread across the table. A football rests on the floor beside a chair. The boy's talent is clear to everyone who watches him play. But talent alone cannot pay for the medicine his body needs. The family looked for help. They asked clubs in Argentina. Some people listened. Some people hesitated. Some people did not give the answer the family needed. The future was uncertain. Messi's gift was obvious, but his path was not. That is one of the hardest parts of this story. When we look back now, we already know who Lionel Messi became. We know the goals, we know the trophies, we know the World Cup. But at that time, nothing was guaranteed. He was just a small boy with great talent and a body that needed help. His family had to make difficult choices. They had to look beyond Argentina. They had to ask whether the answer might be far away, across the ocean. This is where sacrifice entered the story. His family was not only choosing football, they were choosing distance. They were choosing uncertainty. They were choosing pain today for the possibility of hope tomorrow. Listen to this sentence slowly. Sometimes the most fragile beginnings carry the greatest strength. Repeat after me. Fragile beginnings, greatest strength. Pain today, hope tomorrow. Sometimes the smallest body carries the largest dream. And for Lionel Messi, that dream was about to cross the Atlantic Ocean. Story 3. The Journey to Barcelona. In the year 2000, an answer finally came, but it did not come from Argentina. It came from Spain, from a city called Barcelona. Football Club Barcelona, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, had heard about this small boy from Rosario. They invited him for a trial. They watched him play. And very quickly, they saw what his grandmother had seen years before beside a dusty pitch. The boy was different. Barcelona offered him a chance. They gave him a place in their football system and agreed to help with his treatment. For Lionel, this was an opening door, but it was also a painful goodbye. He was 13 years old. Behind him was everything he knew: his mother, his brothers and sister, his friends, his neighborhood, the memory of his grandmother, and the streets where he had first played football. Ahead of him was a new country, a new club, a new language environment, and a life surrounded by strangers. His father, Jorge, traveled with him to Spain. But at first, his mother and siblings stayed in Rosario. The family was split by an ocean. Think about that for a moment. You are 13. You are far from home. You miss your mother's voice. You miss your street. You miss your old football pitch. You are talented, but talent does not stop loneliness. Lionel was quiet. He did not arrive with a loud personality. He did not demand attention. He did not need to fill the room with words. He simply trained. He played. He waited. He had to adapt to a completely different life. The football was faster. The expectations were higher. The culture was different. The other boys already knew each other. He was the quiet new boy from a faraway country. Some children become smaller when they feel alone. Messi became quieter. But on the pitch, the silence disappeared. Slowly, the people at Barcelona began to see what Rosario had already known. This small boy was something special. He had crossed the ocean for a dream. Now he had to grow inside that dream, one day at a time. Story 4. The quiet genius who changed the game. At Barcelona, Messi grew, not only physically, as his treatment helped his body, but also as a footballer. He trained with talented young players from Spain, South America, and other parts of the world. He was still small. He was still quiet. But on the pitch, nobody could ignore him. By the time he was 16, Barcelona's first team coaches had noticed the boy from the academy. In 2004, when he was 17 years old, Messi played his first official match in La Liga, the top football league in Spain. And then, slowly, he began to do things that no one had seen before. His dribbling was different. He did not always use big tricks to impress the crowd. He used small, fast touches, keeping the ball close to his feet. Defenders could see him coming. They could study him. They could prepare for him. And still, they could not stop him. He moved through tiny spaces. He changed direction before defenders could react. He made difficult football look simple. Messi also had extraordinary vision. He could see passes and spaces that other players did not see. He could find a teammate in a position that looked impossible. He could turn one quiet moment into a goal. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Messi was his calm. Imagine a stadium with tens of thousands of people shouting. The sound is enormous. Cameras follow every step. Millions watch from around the world. And one quiet player moves through all of it as if the noise does not exist. He does not need to shout. He does not need to make himself look powerful. The ball moves, and suddenly, everyone understands. That was Messi's power. Quiet confidence. Season after season, year after year, he proved himself at Barcelona. He scored goals. He created goals. He won trophies. He made teammates better. He became the symbol of a team that changed modern football, with passing, movement, patience, and control. He won the Ballon d'Or, the award given to the best footballer in the world, a record 8 times. No player in history has won it more. He became calmer, smarter, and more complete with every passing year. He changed the game, not with noise, not with force, but with silence and skill. At Barcelona, Messi became more than a player. He became a symbol of quiet improvement, a symbol that actions can speak louder than words. But one question followed him through every celebration, every trophy, and every golden award. Could he do the same thing for Argentina? Story 5. The night the story became complete. For many years, Messi carried the weight of an entire country on his shoulders. Argentina loved him. But Argentina also doubted him. Some people said he could play brilliantly at Barcelona, with great teammates around him, but that he could not lead Argentina to glory. Others compared him to Diego Maradona, the legendary Argentine who had won the World Cup in 1986. For Messi, the pressure was heavy. He played in the 2014 World Cup final. Argentina lost to Germany. He reached Copa America finals and lost. Again and again he came close. Again and again, the final step disappeared. After the Copa America final defeat in 2016, Messi was so hurt that he announced he was finished with the national team. The weight was too heavy. The disappointment was too deep. For a moment, it looked like the story with Argentina might end in pain. But he came back. Quietly, without drama, without loud promises. He returned. And that return matters. Messi kept going when many people said he had failed. He kept going when the story seemed unfair. He kept going when the country that loved him also questioned him. In 2021, Messi led Argentina to the Copa America title. It was his first major trophy with the national team after years of heartbreak. When the final whistle blew, he fell to his knees on the pitch. His teammates ran toward him. The wait was over. The pain had finally turned into relief. But one dream still remained: the World Cup. In December 2022, in Qatar, Argentina reached the FIFA World Cup final against France. The stadium lights were bright. The pressure was enormous. Messi was 35 years old. He was no longer the young boy from Rosario. He was the captain of Argentina, carrying the hopes of millions. The match became one of the most dramatic finals in football history. Argentina went 2-0 ahead. Then France came back. In extra time, Messi scored again. Then France equalized again. The game finished 3-3 and went to penalties. The entire world seemed to hold its breath. Argentina won. Lionel Messi lifted the World Cup trophy above his head. The small boy from Rosario. The boy who needed treatment to grow. The boy who left home at 13. The boy who stayed quiet while the world judged him. That boy, now a man, had completed the one chapter people had questioned for years. He made history. He became a World Cup champion. He became a legend. But Messi's legacy is not only about goals and trophies, it is about something deeper. Small does not mean weak. Quiet does not mean empty. And patience, real patience, can carry a person further than anyone imagined. He was small, but his story became one of the greatest stories in football. Closing reflection. The story of Lionel Messi is not only a football story. It is a story about being human. It is about small beginnings, family support, patience, quiet confidence, and the long road between a dream and its fulfillment. Think about your own life for a moment. Maybe you are learning English and the progress feels slow. Maybe you are working towards something and nobody sees your effort yet. Maybe you feel small in a room full of people who seem bigger and louder than you. Messi's progress was quiet and gradual. English confidence grows the same way. You do not need to speak perfectly today. You do not need to understand every word today. You need to keep listening. You need to keep repeating. You need to keep going. Let us practice a few important words from today's story. Repeat after me. Small beginnings. Family support. Quiet confidence. Growth. Sacrifice. Adapt. Pressure. Patience. Legacy. Now, listen to these useful English sentences. Small does not mean weak. Quiet does not mean empty. I can improve slowly. I can keep going. My confidence can grow. In football, a small boy changed the game. In English, a small sentence can change your confidence. And that is why this story matters. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep going.